What's up, guys? It's Sean Rochester here for 5 Reasons Sports, bringing you a Take 5, a new feature of 5 Reasons Sports, where we can bring instant reaction to things as they happen. Today, not big news, but a reaction to the Bill Simmons podcast. It's been going around on Heat Twitter today, talking about his reactions and Justin Termine, their conversation about the Miami Heat. I did a little digging on Justin. He does have some connections back to the Boston area and college. So it's basically him and Bill Simmons being Boston people, hating on the Miami Heat and Heat culture. I'm going to go through some of the things they talked about. Some direct quotes here, honestly. It's, is there a team that gets linked to more stars than the Miami Heat and don't end up getting said star? It seems like every name Pat Riley gets linked to, he doesn't even end up getting. They really debate the Danny Ainge almost getting people in trades to how Pat Riley now almost gets guys in free agency. Maybe you believe that. I think Pat Riley is one of the best GMs in the world. Danny Ainge probably is better than what he gets said, giving the credit for. But comparing those two, I think that's embarrassing. Talking about the Miami market, they said that the Lakers, Clippers, and Heat, quote, nobody has an easier job putting together an NBA team. They have the benefit of lifestyle, but no income tax. Quote, it should be the easiest job in sports to run the Miami Heat. Pat and Andy do a competent job, but they have had a horrible offseason. Bill refers to things like the Lowry experiment being a failure, Duncan Robinson's contract being untradeable. A couple times they've, quote, pulled a rabbit out of the hat. He references Jimmy Butler coming, Goran Dragic trade, Kyle Lowry's coming to Miami. I don't understand the Goran Dragic thing, but going through all of that, the market thing is Justin Termine regular thing that he puts on Twitter, talking about the no state income tax and the market and all that stuff. Why can't other teams in Florida win? Why can't other teams in Miami win? Is it just an NBA thing? It's just an excuse to make it seem like things in Miami are very easy to happen. The rabbit out of the hat, that's just crazy. Not even talking about the big three in terms of that is laughable if you're going to try to make that claim. Termine also mocks that, quote, Bam hasn't been thrown into any deal, and, quote, this is a direct quote, if they could get rid of Bam, they would. There's been no reporting of that on our side, and I just don't believe it's to be true. They talk about Dwayne Wade. They call Dwayne Wade a historically 35 to 40th best player in NBA history. He's one of the best shooting guards ever. 35 to 40, that might be the dumbest thing they say in that 20 minutes, and it's an area filled with dumb comments. Dwayne Wade is clearly better than 35 to 40 historically. He references Riley's success being due to Kareem, Magic, Shaq, LeBron, and, quote, he doesn't have a top 10 to 15 player on the roster right now. I think Jimmy Butler's right there in that category. You might debate that he's more in the 20s. I think he's right there, and he proved it last playoffs against their Celtics. Finishing up here, Bill Simmons, he says the same roster as last year. They convinced Oladipo to come back. Basically, that's the only thing that they did. Lowry was unplayable. PJ's not coming back. Hero's coming back healthy, but it's not enough. They're basically older and worse than they were last year. They also talk later in the podcast about how they used to love how teams used to run it back and bring back teams, continuity. Wait, but that doesn't apply to this year's Miami Heat, apparently, because for 20 minutes, they ripped the Heat for running it back. Whatever you think, at least be consistent in your takes, guys. The last thing they talked about is last year's Miami Heat. They called them a historically worst 1 seed that we saw. The road that they had to get to the conference finals was putrid, according to Justin. The Hawks were hurt. Philly had no Embiid. The Celtics should have won in 5 games. Well, sorry, guys, they didn't. They won in 7 games. The Heat were hurt during that series. We talk about the Hawks, the Philly. They played those teams because they were the 1 seed. They won more games than everybody else in the East. And last but not least, historically worst 1 seed, I think your co-host Phoenix Suns, that were the overall number 1 seed, got blown out on their own floor in Game 7 of the second round. How can the Heat be an historically worst 1 seed? The Phoenix Suns were clearly worse than the Miami Heat, who almost, 1 shot away, got to the NBA Finals. I just don't know, guys. There's no content to come around, so these national guys apparently are just going to come pour things on the Miami Heat. That's why I wanted to make a reaction video. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep checking back to Miami Heat. 5 Reasons Sports. We got you covered.